The first thing done is I have drawn an isometric figure which has a cylinder protruding on the left side, and it has a right side which is in the shape of an L. I am putting in the center line. Now that center line is also going to be used as the cutting plane AA. What I'm doing with the crayon is marking exactly where AA cuts the material. So when you look at the line AA, it will cut directly or exactly through that pink area. And that gives us the shape for our sectional elevation. You must focus on where the cutting plane cuts the work. I have labeled some points A, B, C, and D so that you can understand where exactly these different points are. The last point that was marked is point E. I'm using the whiteout to erase that line on the left. Now I'm preparing to section the material. The cylinder is cut through the middle. It has a hole, hence the reason why there is a space. And I'm filling in the last part of the cylinder now. I am sectioning the isometric drawing, the cut portion of it, so you can see exactly where it will be sectioned in the front elevation that I'm doing. So this sectional elevation is the cut portion of the isometric drawing. And I'm labeling the drawing at this point, sectional front elevation on plane AA. I'm drawing another isometric drawing. This will be another example of how we section this figure, or how we section an isometric drawing. You must pay close attention to the intricacies of the figure. You can see it has a square hole in it. It then has a circular hole in it, which has a smaller circle. And on the top left side, there is a square hole. So we're going to draw the front elevation from the direction of the front arrow. I have put in the center line. That center line will be used as the cutting plane. It's called XX. So when you're doing a sectional elevation, you must pay close attention to where the cutting plane cuts the material. I'm using the crayon to show exactly at what points will the material be cut. I'm showing exactly where this material is going to be cut. And what this is going to do, it will help you to better understand what the sectional elevation is going to look like. Beginning to draw the front elevation, I am going to label points A, B, so that you can try your best to understand how we're carrying the isometric drawing over to orthographic. So those are the specific points from the figure. So this cut portion at the top will be a little rectangle. That is a space for the square hole. We have the L piece that goes directly to the circle. You will see that there are two circles here, a big one at the top and a smaller one. Hence the reason why this part may look like a T. We then have a straight line and our square, the area for our rectangular hole cut out. I'm sectioning with the crayon so that you can see where exactly the sectional lines will be placed. We're drawing another figure, another example. Taking a sectional view from the front, the cutting plane is shown as A. Remember, you look directly where the cutting plane touches the material. I will use the crayon to show exactly where that cutting plane touches the material. So you need to identify what is solid and what is not. Is it passing through a solid area right now, or is it passing through a space? That first, the left side, it looks like an L. You then have a little space in the middle and then a smaller one to the right. Now we're going to begin to draw this front elevation from A to point B to point C. The height A to D, and you realize that the back part, that left part, is high while the right part is low. However, it is cut a little further in. So that first point, which we'll make there from E, we have the start space going across. It comes directly down. You can follow the pen as I move it. Once again, we have a hole, a counterbore hole, which has a smaller circle in it at the bottom. So that counterbore hole looks like a T. And then we have a straight cut hole. And at this point, I put in the sectional lines, the hatching lines. These lines are exactly where the drawing is going to be cut. So you may realize that the space is not section, but the solid area is section. Space, not section. Solid material is what is section. At this point, I'm sketching a solid figure. So this solid figure is a pyramid, and we're going to cut this pyramid to see what the sectional elevation will look like. Once again, I use my crayon to show how would this figure look at what point it is cut. So you will see the backward half from the points A, B, and C. That will be the cut portion. Drawing one final block. Now if you take a look at the figure, it looks in the shape of a square, a rectangle, a rectangular prism. You're looking for where does XX cut the material, and what shape would you see in the background. So on that left side, XX comes through the thinner portion. On the right side, you can see there are a few holes. So at some points you will have some spaces in the material. And these are the spaces that you will have to leave out when you're drawing your hatching lines. So as we begin to draw the orthographic view of the block, AA, we have A to B. You'll realize that there's a point C in the background, which is the top of where it is cut. The space that was just highlighted is in the middle of the material. So on this figure, where the cutting plane is, on the left side, there's a solid portion, while on the right side, there's a solid portion. But on the middle, or in the middle of it, there's a big gap. On the right side though, since there are circles or holes going through the material, there are going to be some spaces and there are going to be some solid portions. So pay close attention to how the right side is done, because you must show the holes that are being cut through, and you must show the solid figures, the solid parts of the drawing that are being cut as well. and that will determine what will be sectioned, as is being marked out now. So the hatching lines are not placed on the spaces, they're only placed on the solid parts.